everyone, welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a delicious and impressive phyllo spiral pie that's going to be made using leeks, roasted red peppers, and feta cheese. It's going to be out of this world delicious and perfect for your holiday table. And Johanna Napoli requested this on Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, follow me and you can make requests there and then I bring them to you. Let's go over the ingredients so then we can get started. So I have 3 leeks here, some scallions, we have some melted salted butter, salt, pepper, olive oil, some sesame seeds which are totally optional, eggs, roasted red peppers from the jar, feta cheese, and a pack of phyllo with some fresh mint. If you pass by leeks at the supermarket and never had a clue what they were or what to do with them, I've showed you how to make a leek and feta pie in a previous video, in a past video, but today I'm going to teach you how to make another recipe and you will never pass them by again because they're super delicious. And we're going to get fancy today, but in an easy way. I'll show you how to clean them. Cleaning them is also really easy. It's just a few steps. Basically, you cut off the green fibrous parts and the ends, the end with the root, and then you slice them down the center, cut them into half moons, dip them in cold water and shake them around. All the dirt will sink to the bottom. Then you just strain all the water out of them, and if they have a lot of dirt, you can put them back in the water and rinse them one more time. Put them back in the strainer, and then your leeks are clean and ready to use. So my leeks are cleaned and sliced. I'm just going to add them to my skillet right here that's over medium heat. And I like to cook in cast iron. If you have a cast iron skillet, go ahead and use it. It distributes the heat really evenly and everything cooks faster and more evenly. I'm just going to season the leeks with a little bit of salt and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil are going to go in this. And as soon as they wilt down and they're cooked, we're going to add our scallions. Now I sliced up the scallions in exactly the same manner. I just sliced them up and I put them in the same manner as the leeks. I sliced them up, I put them in water, and then I'm just going to strain them in my little strainer. So you never want to pour the water through the strainer because then all of the sediment and the soil and like the dirt that's in there that drains down to the bottom is going to end up in your leeks, and you're going to defeat your leeks and your scallions, and you're going to defeat the whole purpose. That's really easy. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes for them to cook down. Just keep stirring them. And now what we're going to do while that's going on, we're going to take our roasted red peppers. Now you can go ahead and roast your own red peppers, but the ones from the jar just have a really nice smoky flavor. They're really tender, and then they're stored or they're kept in a brine, so that adds a lot of flavor to them. So if you can get the red peppers in the jar, go ahead and use those. While I'm chopping, I'll chop up my mint, and fresh mint is best, but you can definitely use basil. If you have fresh basil growing in your backyard, you can use dill. Dill is really nice, and dill is one of those herbs that tastes really good dried too. They have a lot of aroma in them when they're dried. So I'm just going to finally chop this mint because mint is just going to freshen it up and kind of wake the filling up a little bit. Push that to the side until we need it. So once the leeks cook down, then we're going to go in and add our scallions. We're just going to cook down the scallions for 3 to 4 minutes. So the scallions took just 2 to 3 minutes to warm through and just to cook down a little bit. Now we're going to transfer the mixture in this bowl so that way it can cool down faster. You don't have to do this. If you have time, then you can just let it cool in the pot or the pan that you're cooking it in. That's fine. Okay, so now we're going to season this with a little bit more salt. Don't go heavy on the salt because the peppers are a little bit salty and the cheese, the feta cheese, is also salty. So we're going to put our mint in here. We're going to crumble the feta cheese. So half a pound of feta goes in here, but you can definitely put a little bit more if you wanted to. Just crumble it in. I think the best part of eating a pita is like if you get a big chunk of feta in a bite. Everyone loves that. Go ahead and add the peppers in. And at this point, you can go in and taste it once it's very well mixed, because then you can add more seasoning. So we're going to go in with pepper for sure, but you'll know if it needs a little bit more salt once you've added the feta and the peppers in there. Now I go heavy-handed with black pepper. I feel like black pepper and leeks are a very good combination, but again, If you don't like black pepper, leave it out or put less, whatever you want. So I'm just gonna go in and taste it. It is perfect to me, so I'm just gonna leave it just like that. The mixture has even cooled down just by adding all the other ingredients. At this point, we could go in and just beat our eggs a little bit, add them in there, mix it all up, and our filling will be ready. I'm just gonna season the eggs a little bit with a little bit of salt, since we are adding one more ingredient, and I don't like to go in and taste things usually when they have raw egg in them. Phyllo is generally sold in the frozen section of your supermarket. When you bring it home, if you know you're gonna use it, keep it in the refrigerator so it can completely thaw out, and then take it out a couple hours before you use it and leave it on the counter so it can come to room temperature, so that way it's much easier to use. When you take it out, don't take it out of the plastic packaging because it dries up super duper quick. And once it dries up, it's gonna start crumbling and you're gonna have a huge mess on your hands, and who wants that? So we're gonna work pretty quickly. We're gonna need about 15 or 16 of these sheets. We're gonna work with one at a time. Now, you don't wanna step away from these. If you are going to step away, then make sure cover them with a towel, a clean kitchen towel, and then a damp kitchen towel on top of that to prevent them from drying out. With one sheet, I'm gonna drizzle some melted salted butter, and I like to use, I like to use salted butter because there's a lot of flavor in it. So we're gonna take a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half. Now, resist the urge to overstuff these, because if you do, and go ahead, ask me how I know, they're gonna break on you when you're turning them, and you don't wanna do that. These are little appetizer-sized phyllo pastries, so they don't have to be overly stuffed. They're gonna be delicious. So now, you're gonna take the phyllo and you're gonna roll it over, and using your hand, don't worry if it breaks a little bit on you. It'll come together at the end. And then you're just gonna roll it up just like that. Then you're gonna begin rolling from the bottom side to form kind of like a little snail pattern. And if it breaks again, don't worry. Just like that. Pick it up and put it on a baking tray lined with parchment paper. I'll show you one more. There we go. And keep doing this until you finish rolling them all up. You can also do one more thing with these. If you don't want to make the little spirals, you can do just long like flutes, and you could do long rolls like that. Let me show you one of them. Just like that. You can just tuck in the edges and put that too on your baking tray. So if you're making these, you can go ahead and put them on your baking tray, tuck them in. So if you're making the long ones, you can just tuck them in and just line them up in the baking tray like this. I'm going to continue to make these spirals, and then I'll show you what they look like as soon as they're all done. So we have 8 spirals and 3 of the longer flutes. Now mine did break up a bit, so make sure you don't worry at all if yours start to crack and the filling starts to seep through. You're gonna have some leftover phyllo pastry, so you can take one of those and fold it over and keep drizzling butter. We're gonna make like a long row of phyllo tape, and this is completely optional. You don't have to do it, but if you are concerned about the little tears, you can patch them up using this strip of phyllo. Now I can just cut little portions of it. Let's move it to the side so you can see what I'm doing. And so wherever there's a tear, you see there's a little tear over there, you can take the phyllo and put it underneath and just wrap it around like a little Band-Aid. Again, you don't have to do this. It's completely up to you, but if you really feel like you want to cover that little blemish up, you just take little strips of this and you just stick it on just like that. I'll leave the rest as is. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the rest of this melted butter and I'm just going to brush them generously with it because this is going to add lots of flavor to the phyllo. It's going to give it a beautiful golden color and they're just going to be so delectable. I can't wait till you see them once they're done. And I definitely don't want to waste this little strip right here, so I'll just tuck it in the corner right here and it'll bake alongside of these. Now the final step, now this is also optional because some people don't like sesame seeds. You can use white or black sesame seeds. So some of my kids like them, some of my kids don't. So I'll do half with sesame seeds and half without. You can just take them and sprinkle them on top of your spirals and on top of your little flutes or rolls. I think that's good. Now my oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. These are going to go in and bake in the middle rack until they're nice and golden. Now we have some leftover phyllo pastry. What you can do with this is you can melt some more butter and drizzle some butter on here and a little bit of cinnamon sugar and just roll it up and bake it. That'll be a really nice thing to do, bake it until it's nice and golden. But I'm going to save it for next time because I'm about to make, once we finish, I'm about to make another batch of these spirals to keep in the freezer. You just want to fold the dough over and then fold the pastry over. Then I'm just going to wrap this in plastic and store it in my refrigerator. So my pastries took 35 minutes to bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Every oven varies, so you're going to want to keep an eye on them. And at the 30-minute mark, go in and take a look at them. You're going to want to bake them until they're golden brown and beautiful, so that way they can be crisp and flaky and delicious. Your house is going to smell amazing. This buttery smell is just to die for. But these are perfect for any holiday table, especially if Thanksgiving is right around the corner. You're going to want to serve these. Kids love these. Adults love them. Everyone loves them. The phyllo is just buttery and flaky. The filling is delicious because the leeks are a very, very mild onion. So the leeks are even milder than a scallion. They have almost like a tiny bit of a cabbage flavor in the back. Not very cabbagey like the way cabbage is, but they're very, very mild. The scallions go together beautifully. The red pepper and the feta are probably the best part of this because the smoky, tender red peppers and the creamy, yummy, briny feta are just out of this world. All together, I'm going to take a bite of this heavenly perfection. So good. You guys have to go over to the website, www.dimitrasdishes.com. The recipe is also right underneath this video in the description box down below. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what else you'd like to learn how to make. This whole month I'm going to be featuring holiday-worthy recipes to serve to your guests. I'm going to make it super easy for you. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.